I appreciate the full house. I know you all came to see me, and I really appreciate all that. Just a couple notes. Number one, please turn your cell phones on or mute them so we don't get interrupted. Would really appreciate that. And the second part is, if you're going to come up and speak, please come up here and talk clearly so their clerk can get the information. Please don't scream from the back of the room, because we're not going to be able to understand and be able to record what you're saying. So we would appreciate all that. And keep all your applause to the end when I stand up and leave. I would really appreciate it all. Don't throw tomatoes. So I welcome everybody to the July 12th Town Council meeting. The call to order. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Cyclone?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Hold that. Got it. In case I need to get the leaves over here. Our scripture today is in the book of Isaiah. For those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Last Monday was the 246th anniversary of our beloved country, the 4th of July. This was came back with a group of 56 men that signed this document. When these 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence attached their signature to that document, each of them knew they were committing treason against Great Britain. And this was not a easy matter there. They thought this a long time. They planned for a long time. And they knew if they were caught and captured that they risked death. But death would not be swift. The British had a little favorite thing for torturing people. They would hang them to the point of unconsciousness. And then being revived, they would disembowel them, the body parts boiled in oil, and the ashes scattered in the wind. So this would lead us to believe that old King George did not like opposition very much. Our founding fathers valued freedom for themselves and their children to the extent that they found it worth the risk. What happened to these 56 people, we asked? 5 of them were captured by the British and tortured as traitors. 9 fought in the war for independence and died from their wounds. 2 had sons killed in the war. 2 had sons that were captured. At least a dozen of them had their homes pillaged and burned. Well, what kind of men were these 56 people? 25 of them were lawyers. 11 were merchants. 9 were farmers. 1 was a teacher, and 1 was a musician. 1 was a printer. And they were all men of means. They were well educated. Yet they signed the Declaration of Independence knowing full well the penalty would be death if they were captured. John Hancock was president of the Continental Congress at this time, and he's the one that when we look at the Declaration of Independence, his name is bigger than all the others down at the bottom of it. And supposedly he said he wrote it real big so King George could read it without his spectacles. Now the reason, that's why we say today we sign a document and say put your John Hancock here. It goes back to that. John had a baby girl that died while he was hiding from the British. William Ellery's house was burned and his property...
Excuse me, whose phone's on?
Sorry.
Not mine.
By the time she turns it off, it'll be over.
Okay. There's about another minute here. Richard Stockton was pulled from bed, beaten, and thrown in jail. almost starved to death, and when he was finally released, he went home to find his estate had been looted, possessions burned, and horses stolen. He died before the end of the war, and his family had to live the rest of their lives off of charity. Carter Braxton was a very wealthy planter and trader. His ships were captured by the British, and he loaned a large sum of money to the new nation, the government, and he was never paid back. He died penniless. Vandals and soldiers looted the properties of Clymer, Hall, Harrison, Hopkins, and Livingston. 17 more of them lost everything they owned. Thomas Hayward, Edward Rutledge, Arthur Middleton, all of South Carolina were captured and held in the dungeons of St. Augustine, Florida prison for over a year. These men, they said that we mutually pledged to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And you can see what this old saying, freedom ain't free, is certainly true. Would you bow your head, please? Lord, we ask you to bless our country again. You heal our land. You bless our military, our EMT, our law enforcement and firefighters. Bless Joe, our president, Roy, our governor, Barry, our mayor, our town council, and may you continue to bless the United States of America and continue to bless Beech Mountain. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
No, sir.
Bob, you want to introduce?
Mayor and council, our featured business of the month is Hammer and Hand Construction, and Tucker Rosenbush has been asked here to come today and introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his business. Tucker, come on up. And he missed a fire call. For this.
Hi, I'm Tucker Rosenbush. I'm owner of Hammer and Hand Construction. I started it in 2017, and last year I brought it back to Beech Mountain. My primary focus is decking, fencing, and remodel work, which I'm very fortunate. My father was a contractor up here for 22 years, so being able to grow up with him and work and learn and just be on Beech Mountain, I'm forever grateful for, and being able to learn from that and put it in my business is awesome. Every house on Beech Mountain is gorgeous, but they're a little bit harder and more often times than not 80 feet off the ground, so you gotta be on your toes. I wouldn't want to work anywhere else. I love my community. I love giving back. For instance, I'm a ski patroller when and if construction slows down enough in the winter so I can play in the snow. And I have recently joined the Beech Mountain Volunteer Fire Department next year. Which I think is just an awesome way to get back to the community, and being able to get to know people that say they knew me when I was this tall is awesome, and such a humbling experience. Yeah, I just like to help, and I'm always looking for better ways to give back to my community, just because I really love Beech Mountain and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. In this year, since I've been moved back, I've been able to do a lot of super cool projects, met awesome people, and the projects I have going on are amazing. Actually, one of them is across the street at Brick Oven, remodeling Jimmy's new home above the brick. So if you see the truck and trailer, I usually have my dog come by and say hello. Yeah, thank you for letting me come talk, and I won't take any more of your time.
Thank you,
Thank
Tucker.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we have Vice Mayor Accardi who would like to make a statement to the community.
Yes, sir.
The floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Jimmy Accardi. I've prepared a statement to address the general public today. The purpose of this statement is to address hurtful rumor mill, dispel any alarms, and speak on what I stand for as a town council member. I ask for this time to be uninterrupted. So write down the list. Where do I live? Born and raised on Beach Mountain, attended Valley Crucis, Watauga High School, and graduated Appalachian State. After I graduated, I moved to Clonteska, which is in the town limits of Beach Mountain. When the lease ran out, I then bought another place at the Pinnacle Inn that was level entry where my mother, Mackenzie, and I all lived together, which is also in the town limits. When Mackenzie and I found out we were having a baby boy, we decided we needed a little more room, so we moved upstairs above the brick oven. This is where we currently live, which is in the town limits. This happens to be where my mother and father began to raise my brother, sister, and I. And for the record, my driver's license and my voter registration is listed as 402 Beach Mountain Parkway, which is in the town limits. In regards, next, with the TDA grants, in regards to the TDA, it does not come from general funds. It is through the grace of the TDA that businesses can get help to further improve the curb appeal of their businesses and, in result, improve the entire mountain. This is a tool that any business owner can use and is encouraged to use. Next, misinformation about properties on Beach Mountain. I believe the chain of emails that were sent out are misleading by listing only selective properties. They failed to mention the other properties that I own on Beach Mountain that I also have to pay property taxes on. For clarification, I paid the town of Beach Mountain $10,697.86 in 2021. I paid Avery County $8,542.90 in 2021. That's a total property tax of over $19,000. The emails and the social media that says I live in Woodland Hills, that is not a real place. It's called Woodland Meadows. My father and I share the same name, so there might be confusion there. The house that's being talked about is the one my mom and dad built over 22 years ago. My father built that with his own two hands, and after 3 years of hard work, this became our family home. This is where my pop resides now, and I can assure you it is not 8,000 square feet. Next, residential and commercial reevaluation. I suggest you contact your county to be educated on how tax reevaluation works. The town of Beach Mountain has nothing to do with tax assessed values on residential and commercial properties. Next, the misconduct with social media, emails, and boundaries. In regards to social media, I will not engage or respond to nasty comments. Being called a bastard, being called disgusting, a scoundrel, being told to resign, that all may not sound like it hurts, but when you're the one being targeted, it does, and it's unnecessary. When it comes to doing my duties in the town, I am telling you it's crossing the line when people come after Mackenzie, who is my pregnant fiance, my family, or my employees. For example, Mackenzie was approached multiple times being questioned where she lives and who will the baby live with. Not to mention constantly being attacked by social media trolls every single day. In regards to my employees, customers, and I won't call them customers, they came in on a mission to harass my employees and question them. Someone actually said, "Where does he actually live, and can you show me upstairs then?" The young lady working for me was borderline creeped out by the older gentleman who asked her this. If you have a problem with a policy decision we have made, approach me in person, call me on my cell phone, talk to me directly, or just continue to hide behind a keyboard. Do not approach my pregnant fiance, my family, or my employees over town decisions. Now, let's get to town business. For the duration of my term on town council, I want to be full steam ahead on fine-tuning this year's budget and the savings of hard-earned tax dollars. I want to focus on amending this year's budget, revisiting certain items, and to have a more aggressive fiscal responsibility. I'm talking about capital improvements. I want to be crystal clear. I am not talking about the employee cost of living. This should not be a discussion, as we are keeping up with inflation and competing against the private sector with recruiting of our town employees. The town employees are the backbone of this community. I hope to earn the council support next. One of the first items I would like to see omitted from the 2022-2023 budget is the $800,000 town hall expansion, which is funded half through TDA and half through the general funds. Looking back, my vision has been too narrow. It is not the people who said the mean, nasty things on email and social media. It's the people that approached me and treated me like a human that made all the difference to help broaden my vision. Moving forward, and I'm not sure if this is possible, but I would like to revisit my vote on the tax millage rate. I would like to reconsider my vote for a win-win for all property owners on Beach Mountain. Regardless if this is possible this year or not, My new mission for the duration of my term on town council is to lower the budget and tax millage rate. You all did not vote for a polished politician. You voted for a businessman. I'll work even harder to reduce the budget and the tax mills. If you need any clarification or further detail on what I have stated here today, please call me or see me after the meeting, and I can provide you with more information. If nothing else is heard this afternoon, just know that my actions will do the speaking from here on out. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have public comments. Mitch?
Always good to be first. Thank you.
Well, you're on the first on the list.
Good afternoon, council. I'm Mitch Muley. I live at 3441 South Beach Mountain Parkway. And as all of you, I'm a taxpayer here. And I'm going to talk about a couple of things. And I think I have 5 minutes. Is that it? Or is it 10? I'm 5. I'm not sure. Mr. Mayor, 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Council members, several weeks ago, you did pass that millage rate. And again, our taxes doubled. I don't know anywhere, I've lived a lot of places, I've never known anywhere where taxes doubled. And I was happy to hear Mr. Carty today say that they're going to revisit that, because I really do believe that 2 council members really had their best interest at heart when they looked at what we're going to pay in taxes. I, for one, do not mind paying taxes. I really don't. I think it's important. I think it's important to have this and that, and without money, how are you supposed to afford it? But when you double people's taxes and you triple some people's taxes, I think that's an unfair burden. And I'm happy to see Mr. Carty at least recognizes that and will look at it. And since he was a voting member, if I remember my parliamentary procedure, if he would voted in the affirmative, he can call for a revote on this, and I think it's perfectly legal. So I would say that taxes do need to be looked at. And, you know, I agree, people need to be paid a fair wage, but I was in the public system for many, many years, and I would have longed to get a 13% raise, ever. Some years, we went many, many years with nothing, and so that's just the way it is. And then when you get into public service, you don't get into it for the money, as my mother used to say. You get into it to do a public service for the people, and I did. Again, zoning, I think this council needs to look at zoning. I hate to start pointing fingers at some places that are beginning to make our mountain not look like a beautiful, peaceful, wonderful place that we call home. Putting climbing walls and gem mines as you drive up the mountain with multiple signs, which I think you do have ordinances against numbers of signs, it's not right. It's just not a way you want people to come to this mountain and enjoy the scenery and the love that we have here on this mountain. So I would like you to look at that and look at what you're doing. Not to say that commercial businesses shouldn't be able to flourish, because they make money, they employ people, they do pay their taxes, and they should flourish. But it should be done in a tasteful manner, not haphazardly, with very little oversight. And folks, you know, some people say, well, you live next to a commercial building. Well, that's true, but they should have rules, just like we have rules. I can't stand out on my balcony and scream and holler everything I want at the time of the day or night I want. And I don't think people should be able to hit buzzards when they get to the top of a mountain either. So that's the way I say that. Also, I would like for you all to I know that this is a contentious issue with the dumpsters. You drive up and down this mountain, you see them, they're pretty ugly. Again, our convenience fees were paid up until October of 2021, when the new convenience center was built and was operational. I would like this council to really look again at the Republic, even though they picked up our dumpster very well, we've had no problem. It's unsightly. We would like the opportunity to go back and use the convenience center. We're not asking to be picked up. We're not really asking. We'll take our own garbage, that's fine with me. Some people don't want to do it, but I'm perfectly fine with it. But we need to relook at the fact that our money that we paid into that convenience center, we never could utilize it. We still can't. If we want to utilize the recycle center, we can, but it's $60 a year for us. And I just don't think that should be. Now, we'll laud the council for building the bathrooms, fixing the Bark Park. Really nice. I'm not sure the parking lot is paying for itself, to be honest with you, other than probably in the winter when it's used a lot for people that are sledding. But now I don't think there's a car parked there. So, we need to look at things. We understand We need sidewalks along Beach Mountain Parkway. You try to cross that road. You try to go from one end to the other road, it's difficult. We have no crosswalks. We have not even a light that people could push that would allow us to walk. We don't have any sidewalks except a very little bit in front of our units and a few places. So we'd like the council to look at these things. And again, I would, people are people, and people, it takes money. And I know, just like anything else, 85 to 87% of your budget is in people. We fully understand that. It's the way it is with a public agency. But we'd like for you to look at it again, and we'd like to, to allow things that you've done and to make our community better. We'd like to keep it as peaceful and happy and a wonderful place to come, because it is a wonderful place to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Brian Carter?
Well, I came here to ask for the budget to be revised, so looks like we're starting off well. I moved here in 2018. My wife and I were empty nesters in Charlotte. Yep.
Brian, give your address.
Yeah, 497 St. Andrews Road. We left Charlotte in 2018 to move here because we had visited here a few times and we found it a beautiful community. And the real estate values were in line with me as my career in advertising was winding down. So what I decided was that we would buy a house for cash and live here. We paid $185,000 for our house. Post-pandemic, the county says our house is worth $460,000. I didn't buy a $460,000 house. I can't afford a $460,000 house. I've never been able to. I probably never will. I'm a firmly middle-class person. When the budget was passed and my tax bill, when the tax assessment came out ahead of the budget at $460,000, I was concerned. And I went online, I talked to people, and I was told, don't worry about it. The town council sets the tax rate, and that'll be in line with the budget. So when the budget was passed at a $3 million increase, I was concerned because it seemed that my tax bill was going to more than double. And it was. So I went online and found people who were like-minded, and I wrote a petition. That petition has nearly 200 signers. They're all property owners here on Beach Mountain. Not all of them can vote. There are a lot of people who own second homes here who can't vote, and they're concerned about their taxes. And that owning a second home doesn't necessarily make you a wealthy person. There are a lot of ways. I had people talk to me about inheriting their grandmother's place, something that had been in their family for generations. I had people who are looking to retire here who have bought a place, and all of this was put in jeopardy by the new budget and the new taxes. So I don't take my vote lightly. When I vote for people, especially in a situation like this, I know that I'm giving you the power to take my money via taxation. I expect, when I make a careful decision about that these people will act responsibly. In my opinion, this is not a responsible increase, so I'm happy to hear that we're talking about revising it. People have already started challenging the property values, so that portion of the budget will not be where it was projected to be. Next year, it's probably going to even be worse. I would really hope that we would end up revising this budget. We represent 60 voters of the 200 people in the group, which in a normal electorate doesn't sound like much, but here it's pretty significant. I just would like to say that I have some trust in you guys, and I hope that you do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it Rhoda? Rhoda? Amanda?
I'm sorry, I put that in by mistake, forgive me.
Beg your
I'm
pardon?
sorry. I signed by mistake.
Okay, Robert Mitchell, McMitchell? Please give your name and address.
Robert McMichael, 710 Pine Ridge Road. After listening to Jimmy's talk, I want to say nothing that I say here is any kind of a personal attack on any of you in any way, shape, or form. And I don't take any of your actions as a personal attack on me. I do think that we've had a lot of economic shocks this year, from the gas station to the grocery store, and now our tax bill. And we really need to understand, if you need this extra millions of dollars, where it's coming, where it's going, and why it's going there. And not just a percentage for a COLA increase, but how much is that, and how is that gonna impact us for the next 10 years? Because, you know, you're talking about increasing people's salaries. So mostly what I'm here to do is ask that we have an open discussion, that let everybody understand what's going on, and let us come talk with you. There have been several people who have proposed that we have some kind of citizens forum, and I ask that you all get together and find one of those forums, or come up with one of your own, and let us all come talk to you about this budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Miller?
Dr. Murray Miller, Lewis Road, Gulfview Drive, Beach Mountain. First, I'd like to thank Town Council for authorizing the ambulance that started in May. You approved it last year, and I'm proud to be able to say that Mountain Ambulance Health got it effective. Also, I'd like to comment that while it is being manned by a contract group, our volunteer fire department is still made up of volunteers. I don't think the chief could blow out a match without their support. There is also a need, after 30 years, that our first responder unit be replaced. It's rusting out and needs more work. The only way we could get it from the town is if the town buys it. If the town buys it, it's going to cost $300,000. It's going to raise taxes. Nobody wants that. The town has supported Mountain Ambulance, and I'm proud to say we're going to try raising the better part of the $300,000.
Sorry.
Try to raise
Fire
part-
call.
Try to raise part of the $300,000 from the community. I am I've lived here for 28 years. I'm one of the non-voting taxpayers. At least I know when they go for volunteer fire department, I'm being supported by volunteers. To raise this $300,000, we're going to ask all the taxpayers, not just the voters, to support it. And as I'm sure you're aware, most of us non-voting members are probably older in general than the average voting members of the community. To help fund this, Mountain Ambulance is going to pledge $100,000 for the $300,000 necessary. It takes 12 to 18 months till we get it. If we order it now, it's going to take that long. Hopefully, with everybody's support, we'll be able to get the funds. Maybe we can get some of the funds from the town if they can rearrange their new assessment that was done by the state, not by the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Murray.
Christie?
Sorry for the pager interruption.
No problem. You want to just give you the address?
Yes, my name's Chrissy Bonestell, 110 Overbrook Trail. So Jimmy, you kind of took a lot of what I had typed up here, and I'm kind of glad you shared your facts and your opinions on the situation, because I think it sheds a lot of light. All of us in this room have a belief of what ought to be. That ought is what catches everybody. But it is what also brings us to a common ground that something should be different or something should change. And that's what unites us. That's why everyone is in this room, because of the word ought. So nobody wants to pay the taxes. I'm glad that there's going to be a revision or, you know, things taken a look at. But my main point for wanting to speak today was because I'm not okay with the way that this community has treated the council, has treated town staff. In 2019, this group made a lot of hard changes, a lot of hard decisions. You were voted in because of the faith that we gave you, your integrity as a person, as a group, how well you all work together. And I just want you to know that not everybody is calling names. Not everybody is being hateful. There are still people who believe in the work that you're doing. Thank you for stepping up, for being here, for making the hard decisions. You did it. So, if there are folks that are feeling very angry right now, specifically around taxes, if you have not been invested in the community, volunteering, working for or in the town, or participating in some sort of way, I would encourage you to do that. Learn how we operate, learn why we do what we do, how we vote our council members in. There's so much more to understand than just a tax bill pass. So thank you for the opportunity, and that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you. Ryan Bernstein? Ryan? Going once? Going twice? Sold.
Are you reading these names as they're poorly written, maybe?
Well, it looks like Bernstein to me.
That would be me. And that would be Lynn.
Would be what?
Lynn, L-I-N-N.
Oh, sorry.
Good afternoon. I am a resident, Lynn Bernstein, 304 Lake Ledge Road. I am a non-tax-paying resident of Miami Beach, of Beach Mountain, beach to beach. I love the beach analogy. I wanted to thank you all for serving. I know that you're in thankless jobs. I was a government employee for my career, and I know how hard it can be. I wanted to offer something from what my experience has been in the past. While we all are upset about the increase in taxes, and I certainly feel that as well, what I was wondering is if there is an opportunity to increase communications. And I know that you all put out information prior to meetings, that you attempt to communicate with the council meetings, with special community meetings, but I do believe that you have much more opportunity to reach out to educate the community, to not only get the objections to what you may vote on, but to get the support. And I think that something that you greatly lack is support. And I would suggest that you explore those opportunities through social media, through other additional kinds of meetings, and to expand the way that you communicate with your community. And of course, we all hope that the tax rate doesn't go into effect. I don't know if you even have the opportunity to go backwards in spite of a speech that was just given. I don't know how you can do that or can't do that. But of course, we would all like to see a break. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
D-A-V-A.
David.
David? David with the phone that don't turn off?
Maybe you said it right.
Give your name and address, please.
Dava Lipsky, 102 Ladybug Lane. And I've been coming up to this gorgeous mountain for over 40 years. First I rented, then we bought land, but my husband at the time was working, we could never build a house, but I kept coming back and renting. when of course rents were very, very reasonable back then. And then 19 years ago, I bought a home up here with my husband, and we've been coming up for 5 months every summer since. My grandchildren have been here, my children worked here in the restaurants and so forth. And I was appalled, I guess a year ago, when we pulled into our driveway on Ladybug Lane, and there in front of us was this huge blue thing, the dumpster. And on that huge blue thing are about a dozen signs. It looks like a billboard. It is so obnoxious to look at that and think that this is my mountain, and all of a sudden I look like I'm walking into a signboard with all of this advertisement. I inquired about the ordinance, that you now say that people who have condos of 6 or more have to have this Republic dumpster. I remember when the people across the way, and it's a small condo, had a dumpster, but it was fenced in with wooden fencing. You didn't see it. It was obscured, and beautiful landscape all around. And now all of a sudden, this is just this blue thing sitting in the middle of a street, and I see it just driving here from my house today along Beach Mountain Parkway. You look up to the side and you see blue, and you see another blue. Now, I want to know, is the ordinance in effect that you are requiring people who have these condos to put up a fence? Now, someone told me that they could put up chain link. Well, chain link does no good because you still see that ugly blue thing. I would hope, I would pray that you would take into consideration changing your ordinance to say that these dumpsters must be enclosed in wood to conceal the dumpster, with a door that you open when you need to use it and a door you close when you are not. It still is serving the purpose of collecting the garbage. I never have my garbage collected. I personally go to the dump constantly. But I object to seeing these blue things in our beautiful mountain. And it is so obvious. I was tempted to get a paint can and paint it green or paint trees on it and make it look beautiful. But it really is an eyesore. So I beg you to please change your ordinance to read that they have to be enclosed in something you cannot see through. Thank you all.
Thank you. Maggie Taylor? Please give your name and address to the clerk.
Yes. Maggie Breen Taylor, and at 426 Charter Hills Road. And I chose to speak today because I had a condo at the Pinnacle Inn for many years. My 6 kids loved coming up here. They learned to ski up here. They do not, well, my Molly moved to Ashe County. She lived on the mountain up until this last year. But we had a farm in Alexander County. And I ended up with asthma from chicken houses that were around. And the one place I could breathe was Beach Mountain. And so Alan and I decided to buy a house here. We've lived here permanently for 5 years now. And I'm 76 and he's 74, and we're still working, and we'll continue to work. The houses were more affordable 5 years ago, but we basically, I never worked, I'm a registered nurse, and I never worked a place that gave me a large pension or anything. And Alan's a minister, and so he didn't have the retirement that some people have in here. We have savings, you know, because we're frugal people, we live below our means. But when you look at the prices of what medications have done, food, and I want to thank Jimmy for that 20% discount that he gives to local people. And And they already know what we're going to order, but they say, Mr. Taylor, we know what you want. But we appreciate you, Jim. And there's a lot of you that I don't know, that I haven't met. I volunteer at the Book Exchange 2 times a month. And there's one question I had. My main purpose was to say, there are people up here that are not rich, that live here for other reasons, like with my asthma. And I was a volunteer firefighter in Alexander County for 10 years. I'm too old. I'm too old. But I don't mind helping with other things, that fundraising or anything like that. But just in closing, I had a question that came from my friend Cynthia Robinson, that there are 2 lakes that are being combined regarding our water sources, and that might be the reason for the increase in taxes. I just don't know about that, but I'm just throwing it out there. And and lastly, we love this mountain, and I am so glad that there is now something besides the first responders, that people, I talked to one of the guys and he said it already paid off as far as having the EMTs. So if it saves one life, it's worth it. And we want to continue to live here. So when real estate people call me and say, wouldn't you love to sell your house? The answer is no.
Mike? I'd love to read the last name, but Murgio.
Mike Murgio, 101 Pinnacle Ridge Road, and there have been a lot of good things said here this evening. And I just have to say, it pains me to think that anybody's getting personal attacks. There is no reason for that. It should never happen. I was an elected official as well, so I know you're in a difficult place, but it's sad to hear that's happening. I have to agree about the dumpsters. They're horrible. And hopefully we can do something about that. I want to give kudos to the council for the EMT. I was at the ribbon cutting. I think that's a great addition. And as far as raising salaries, you need to be able to keep good people. So I'm not opposed to that. But one of the things that I said at the last meeting was, and somebody brought it up again today, I really think it would be in the best interest of everyone for you to create a budget committee. I know when I was on the elected board, we had a budget committee, and that does a lot of good things. Number one, you get a lot more input that way than meetings. Now, I know at our budget meetings, staff was presenting, and there really wasn't a lot of public comment. But in our budget committees, you got good feedback. So I really think that it's incumbent upon the board to look at possibly doing that and try to do it where you can have some of us that, I don't live here year-round, I'm here about 5 or 6 months. I've been coming up for 40 years. But I would think that you could start that budget process now in August, you know, and get some people that are here in the summer to be part of that group. So that's something that I really would like to see happen, and I would hope that the board or the town council would really look at that. As far as the budget, and I brought this up at the last meeting, at the budget meeting as well, we have a 60% reserve. Now, as board members, you may think that's a great thing. But I'll be honest, now the budget that I used to deal with was $2 billion. It was a large budget. We had like 1%. Most towns have 10%, maybe at the extreme end, 25%. And I have to say, and this is a personal opinion, that a 60% reserve means there are some things that are not being done with the budget that should be done. Like, we didn't need a 68 cents per hundred. You could have used the 2 or 3,000 out of the 7 million, I'm sorry, the 2 or 3 million out of the 7 million reserve to do that. You shouldn't have a 60% reserve. I'm sorry. That means the budget process is not working. And that's not a personal attack on anyone. That's just government. I don't know any governments that have 60% reserves. It makes no sense. And Mr. Accardi's talking about reviewing the budget. I really think you need to look at the reserve. And when I looked at the budget, the projections for capital improvements that we're going to use the taxes, it's all front-end loaded. This year there's $3 million. Next year it's $400,000. 2 years from now it's $150,000. So you're creating a situation that for many people is untenable when you really don't need to, and you don't need to take the abuse that you've been taking. So I really hope the board looks at the budget process, looks at the reserves, and really gets them in line with what good governmental practice is, and it's not a 60% reserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to the consent agenda.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Capital budget ordinance, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, Bob, town manager report.
Mayor, I've got quite a few things. Let me start by saying that Governor Cooper today announced that the state of emergency in reference to COVID in the state of North Carolina will end on August 15th. So it's been a long time coming, but that state of emergency will end at noon, or 5 o'clock on the 15th. We, in Raleigh, we had a short session where local bills were proposed. House Bill 1044 was the de-annexation of some parcels in Eagles Nest from the town of Beech Mountain. I reported to you last month that there was an end run where you approved 6 parcels back in February, and the bill that was proposed added several more. Again, we opposed that. They took those off. The bottom line is that the de-annexation bill passed with the original 6 that you were advised of. The other parcels remain in the town. We also had a special local bill, House Bill 1158. That's a tree ordinance. If you recall last year, about this time, the state said that if you didn't have a specific state statute authorizing a tree ordinance, that no municipality could enforce any tree regulations. So we forwarded a local bill for this session through Representative Green's office, and that bill stalled in committee and did not get to the floor. So we'll refile that in the next full session. Our EMS station dedication went well. It was June 25th. That unit's been in place about 45 days. I promised you last month, as we gathered some data, I'd report to you on the effectiveness of that. In the first 45 days, Mayor and Council, the average response time was 7.21 minutes, and that is a dramatic reduction in the 45 minutes to an hour that we used to experience. Again, thank you to Dr. Murray Miller and the Mountain Ambulance Foundation. it has already saved lives, and it will save many more in the future, so a good move on that. Our Bark Park project is nearing completion. We've replaced the fencing with new gates as well. There's new benches. We had a request for shade, so there's some structures there for shade. The parking lot was sealed today. The additional striping will be installed as soon as that vendor gets up here. And all that is thanks to the TDA funding. Ad valorem taxes were not used in that project. Our raw water well, number 1, which is at the lower end of Pinnacle Ridge Road. Our bid opening is the 28th of this month. As I reported to you last month, we revised the drawings, revised the specifications to cut the cost of that project by about half. We've received preliminary state approval. It's out to bid now, and we expect bid letting to you will be in August, and then we'll start construction as soon as possible to get that well water into the system. Going on with water treatment, we've had low lake levels, which is to be expected this time of the year. We are using the well at Shane Park. Because of that well and the aquifer that it is in, we have higher manganese levels in our raw water that needs special treatment. Daniel Davis has worked with the state. We now have a new treatment at the plant to handle that manganese, and the water is, well, we were number 1 last month, so it's perfect. We do need to encourage conservation, particularly during this time of the year when we have a lot of people here and we're not getting the rainfall in Buckeye Lake. Some good news, the State Water Project, you approved for staff to ask for 3 grants from the state. We have been awarded 2. The final vote will be this Thursday. The first one was for $4 million. That's a grant, it's not a match. There'll be no tax funds used on that project, and that is a water main replacement project. And we also received a grant of $400,000, 100% grant, that will be used in the Grassy Gap area for the sewer study, where we're going to camera the sewer, smoke test the sewer to determine what repairs, if any, need to be done. So there's $4.4 million that the town received in grants, and we're happy to report that. Our $15 million brick grant will be decided the middle of this month, where that's for the Lake Coffee, Lake Santis project. So we are ranked 3rd in the state on that. Usually the top 5 are funded. It looks very promising, and we should know before next council meeting if those funds are appropriated. That's a 70-30 grant, which would net $9.8 million to the town for that project. And to answer the question that was asked, the taxes were not raised to do the Lake Coffee project. That will be out of funding. Either we'll get a grant, we'll do a bond issue. We've talked about all the funding mechanisms over the years for that. Going forward into the Lake Coffee, Lake Santis, I spoke to Mr. Costin again yesterday. We seem to have a problem getting our attorneys together. So we're making an effort this week to get both entities together. He has agreed to sign the agreement with the town, as long as we can get the attorneys to agree. That's the most difficult part, and we'll move forward on that. If you would take a look at page 38 in your staff reports, it's the solid waste report. We've talked about this from month to month. We now have a 6-month trend. It's page 38, 39. What I wanted to point out is that we've reduced our solid waste taking to the landfill by 334 tons this 6-month period, and that equals about $20,000 in tipping fees. That does not include the cost of labor and hauling of those 334 tons that we would have had to pay. That's in addition to that. So the solid waste program is, at least by the numbers, is working as projected. If you look at page 52, the building permits, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody, but if you look at the permits issued by month, there was 83 building permits issued in June. That is a record, at least short term. I know when the mountain was being built, that probably wasn't a record, but it certainly is a record over the last 15 years. Those 83 building permits are almost all single-family homes, either new construction or a major renovation, and the valuation is at the bottom of that page. If you look at page 48, Parks and Recreation, we talked about this last month as well. There's been some concern that the Parks and Recreation Department had an increase in its budget, which it did. The other side of that equation, which we talked about, but I told you I'd bring you the numbers back, their revenue has increased substantially as well. You directed us to make that department revenues increase, more user of the department funding that. It will never break even. Parks and Rec Department doesn't do that. But we're on target to bring in over $100,000 in additional revenue, Parks and Rec Department. In the month of June, they brought in $16,837. Page 2. If you look at page 57, Mayor and Council, it's the TDA report on the revenues. Of note, in June, in TDA revenues, it was $50,984, which is down from the same time last year. However, if you look at the previous 6 or 7 years in the chart, we're well above 2019, which was pre-pandemic. And in speaking with our TDA director, it appears that the town has had a tremendous increase in visitors through the pandemic. That has lowered slightly, but we believe we've found a new plateau, which is substantially higher than 2019. Mayor and Council, there's been some conversation. I know you've called me. I've had some residents talk to me about zoning. The planning department has zoning regulations before the planning board as we speak. They have a meeting next week to go over that, relating specifically to amusements, but there is additional zoning changes there. Because of the zoning process, it's not something that goes quickly. Zoning is something that is more of a legal issue. We just can't have an emergency meeting and change the zoning laws. So the planning department first, or the planning committee must first review, make their recommendations to you. They'll do that next week. We'll have something for you at the August council meeting, and assuming it meets with your approval, we'll ask you to set a public hearing on the zoning changes for the September meeting. That's the quickest we can move this along for a zoning change. So expect to see something next month, and then expect, if everything goes smoothly, that we'll ask you to set a public hearing for September on those zoning changes, and it will deal with amusements. Dr. Murray spoke already about the Mountain Ambulance Foundation fundraising for a replacement medical response vehicle. It is a $300,000 vehicle, and Dr. Miller is pushing ahead on a fundraising campaign, and he explained it very well. And the last thing I've got is I handed out some pictures of a water tank to you. The request is to repaint the Emerald water tank at Emerald Mountain Inc.'s expense. They have asked for your consideration. We recently painted the tank with the color that the council chose. It doesn't meet with their approval. They've submitted 3 other colors that are very similar. So what I need today is some direction on moving forward. Do you want to have the tank repainted at their expense? Do you want to pick one of these colors? I need some direction on that.
So this was originally painted the Beach Mountain blue. That's the picture on the
Yeah,
first
the
page?
picture on the first page at the bottom is the current status
Okay.
at June 26, and that's the color that the council picked, and all the water tanks are being painted that color.
How many water tanks are on the mountain? 6?
10.
10?
Okay. And this is property of Beach Mountain or property of Emerald?
It's the Town of Beach Mountain's water tank up on top at Oz, Emerald.
You know, one thing Beach Mountain's been consistent of is being inconsistent. And, I think we need to either review and discuss if all the water tanks are blue. I like for the town to develop some consistency. Because if we set a precedent here, again, if we set a precedent, change one, what are we going to do if someone else comes up and says, I want ours painted yellow? I think it warrants a little bit more discussion than maybe making a decision today.
Council?
I agree with that. I think it needs more discussion.
I would agree with that as well.
Yeah, I think consistency is important,
But also,
whether it's on wherever it is, that people see that color and know exactly what it is.
maybe,
But if we want to rediscuss, I have no problem with that.
I think we should table it and have further discussion.
Mayor, I had conversation with Paige Lighty, and Carter's here. I understand time is of the essence. They would like to have this done before Autumn and Oz, I believe. So would you like me to put it on the August agenda?
Yeah,
And do you need more information?
more information, more discussion between the council as far as the consistency of colors in all our tanks, or we're just gonna have Technicolor tanks around the town.
and also we need to look at adding our Beach Mountain logo.
To all the tanks?
I think so.
I think so. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge placard, but just something to identify. I mean, hopefully people know they're on Beach Mountain, but it is I think it's aesthetically, it looks nice, and I think it'll add a little flavor to the water tower or the water tank.
Didn't we originally talk about that?
On the big ones,
I don't
right.
remember.
We,
Plus it'll keep
currently, before the TDA tomorrow, they're discussing painting and logoing of the tanks up at the top by the Bark Park. Hasn't been until now a proposal to put them on all the tanks. I'll certainly, let me work on that, find out what it requires and how to fund it.
It doesn't need to be gaudy, it doesn't need to be too large.
Okay?
Plus having the logo tells all the teenagers not to climb on the tanks. Not that mine ever did that.
Mayor, could I go back to this item for August agenda? More information, the colors, do you want them to propose different colors, or is this just keeping it standard?
Well,
What do I tell them to do?
We've already discussed the color. The blue was the color we picked.
Yes, sir.
So to me, it's a question of, I mean, the rest of the council can jump in any time. Do we stay with the blue, or do we go to army green or something,
The tower, is it on, or the water tank, is it on Beach Mountain property?
I don't know. I was asked that, and I would expect it to be on town property. It's a town water tank.
Right.
But I would have to get a survey and do some work. I don't have an answer to that today.
Maybe we get some clarification on that if possible.
But let's table it till August.
Okay. Mayor, that's my report. Thank you.
Okay. Council comments? Kelly?
I want to thank everybody for being here. Your voice, it's great hearing all these voices. Wanted to ask Bob about recycling. I know we talked about possibly going to dumping everything together versus separating it out, and I was just seeing if there was any update on that.
The update is the Watauga County Recycling Center hasn't been completed, and that's going to be a mixed-use recycling center where we can take a mixed load down there. That hasn't been completed, and it hasn't changed.
Okay. My next comment is you can find any of us or go on the website to find the budget if you want to comb through it. I wish in my lifetime I would have a family budget of $10 million, but that's probably never gonna happen. So I trust department heads to come with reasonable suggestions on the budget, and I trust them to give me their best in what they're presenting to me. When we voted on the amount, when we were going back and forth, I agree with Jimmy 100%. There's gotta be a reason for people to drive up this mountain every day, especially in the wintertime. I was part of the EMS. I will always be part of the EMS. So just to give you an idea of where I was. And I challenge everybody, if you don't like it, there's openings. There's 3 in November that are uncontested. Replace me next November. Run for office. So we make the best decisions that we can. If you don't like it, run. Please do. That's it.
Mr. Abernathy?
So Chief, with what the Vice Mayor said, is it possible to change the millage rate at this point, or is it done?
I'm going to defer to the town attorney.
Yes, sir, I've been sitting here trying to see if I can find an easy answer to that. The general rule is all municipalities are required to adopt their budget and their millage rates and report those to the Department of Revenue no later than July 1, which of course July 1 has come and gone. In looking at the statutes, I've not got a clear answer yet as to whether the millage rate can be revisited or whether that is set upon submission to the Department of Revenue. As a matter of parliamentary procedure, the Speaker was correct that someone who was in the majority of a previous vote could move to reconsider. However, before you take action on that, let me do some additional research to make sure we're going to be in compliance with the requirements of the Department of Revenue. So the short answer is, I'm not sure as to the answer yet, but I'll have an answer before your next meeting.
So I'm going to throw this out there, that I think that we can be, if we want to get really aggressive, and this does resurface and we're able to make an adjustment. You know, my vote was at 63 cents. And then I came back to Chief Putney and I said, I think we can do 61 cents. I think it can certainly be lower than what it is. If it can be changed on behalf of the taxpayers in our town, I'd like to, you know, revisit this. The Chief, the grant for $4 million with replacing the water main, what road is that going to be on?
It's a number of roads. It's water and sewer. It's
What's the largest main, or is there one, or is it just a combination of?
It's a bunch.
Okay.
Chestnut. It's where we just did all the sewer study.
Right.
Chestnut, Lake Ledge. There's some work down in St. Andrews. I can get you a list.
Yeah.
It's on that SRF.
You know, so to kind of go back to the budget a little bit, we've got 83 new permits. I think we're going to continue to see, even though we're coming into a recession or we're into a recession. I don't think Beech Mountain is immune to it, but I think that we're going to continue to see a lot of very positive growth. And this is indicative to the 83 permits that we currently have on the books. And I think with the permits with the revenue that we're going to generate with a combination of all new permits, tapping fees, everything combined, that we're going to be looking $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. I think the $300,000 or $400,000 is probably a little too conservative, and I'd say it's probably going to be closer to $500,000, if not more. And that's where we can make up some of this money. Someone made a comment about the landscaping of the town. You know, I keep waiting to come up to Beech Mountain and see a Ferris wheel and pony rides. And I think we need to get aggressive with this ordinance. The landscape is changing, and our town's changing. You know, the quietness of the town is you know, I understand folks want to make money and how they want to run their business and diversify. But what we have today is, you know, it's different than what we had a year, 2 years ago. and I think we need to button it up. The sidewalks, don't we have some restrictions because this is a state highway?
Yes.
So that's gonna be pretty challenging to try to put some sidewalks anywhere on Beach Mountain Parkway.
Well, anything can be done. You know how I do
You get a
things.
t-shirt that says that.
When we built the little greenway where the bus up building is, that's what a DOT sidewalk looks like. And it was, almost $500,000. The piece that runs in front of Fred's along the Parkway, we can do those type of things. The TDA has been, for years, been trying to put a path down the Parkway to get to the resort. And the easements aren't there. And that was the Fork Trail discussion from years ago. And that was a plan that was run through the state, and it was not doable. So sidewalks along the Parkway, for argument's sake, is not something that's going to be easily done.
I remember maybe 6 or 8 months ago that I had suggested that when the old recycling center dump was torn down, that maybe we turn that into like a picnic shelter and tables, covered porch, place to grill out. But with all the building and as busy as this area has gotten in the past year, I started thinking about Shane Park, and if we could turn that into a greenscape and plant some trees, and if we need, since that is maybe the beginning of a trailhead.
It is a trailhead currently. It's being turned into a green space. There's plans for some split rail fencing, some more landscaping. There was tables and picnic tables proposed for there.
But maybe if since those tables aren't there yet, maybe we consider leaving that more of a green space than adding additional furniture, equipment up there. Plant some trees and do some nice landscaping. This should have been first, and it was one of my pet peeves, and I commend council for making this decision on EMS. Being part of the fire department and ski patrol, we unfortunately see a lot of accidents. And when you have a loved one that has to wait anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes to 75 minutes, and they're on their last breath, and you got the family members that are around them, so a very stressful time. And to hear that the EMS has gone from where it was to where it is, to 7.22 minutes, is just, that's remarkable. And I thank council and chief, thank you for what you and your staff did to put this together. Sorry?
Dr. Miller.
Well, I thought I addressed him when I started this. If I didn't, I apologize. We can't leave you out.
Especially when you made a donation.
Huh? Well, next year I'm gonna double it.
You?
No.
Sign the check.
And just, I mentioned this at our last council meeting. Just because you aren't a voter, your voice counts. There's a lot of horsepower here on Beach Mountain, and I encourage you guys to get involved. If you've got an idea or you got a suggestion, whether it's, constructive. Hey, if council's doing this, and you guys consider doing this in a different manner. I appreciate the feedback, whether it's, I don't like the negative feedback and throwing stones, because we need to be civil about this. But your input, regardless if you're a voter or not, is very important. I do hope, and I don't know, I think there was some question whether or not some of the budget meetings were recorded or live streamed. If they aren't, I think we definitely need to be transparent and keep the folks that are summer residents that are in Florida in the winter, keep these guys informed. And I think that's That's it. And Jamie, thank you for your words.
Okay. Aaron? Sorry.
I want to thank everyone for coming out today. It's great to have input with everybody, and it's great to have involvement of the town. Regardless if you live here year-round or if you are a summer resident, we're all taxpayers. All of us are taxpayers. I also personally appreciate the positive comments that have been received today for the council. It's point taken and greatly appreciated. I would also ask everyone to make sure that, you know, anytime you hear anything, make sure that the information that you're receiving is correct, and all of the information, just not part of the information. Because if you get half a story, then things are misconstrued, and then misinformation happens. We're all readily available. You know where to find all of us. There are folks in the audience today that know where they can find me every morning of every day. They know where they can find me. Just come right down to the fitness center and you can work out with me. It's really good for your health because I'm there working everybody out at 9 o'clock every morning at the club. So please join me. And trust me, the first 5 to 10 minutes before is discussion and questions about town and things that they don't know. So make sure you get the right information. And if you're listening to people and you're not sure, then come and ask one of us or call the town hall, because that's how things are misconstrued. And then things can get extremely mean-spirited for no reason. Hurtful, hateful, and you know what? I love this town as well. Been up here since 1986 and have been an owner since 1999. So yes, I take negative comments about my personal life very personally, because I chose to run on this council, I chose to be transparent, and I chose to make a difference. And I am the only one in this council that turns my check and stipend in back to the town budget so that the town can use it any way we need to use it. It is a thankless job, okay? We know we can't please everyone, but I will tell you one thing about this council. We replaced some council members because the past council was in neutral. And there have been things that have been desperately needed to be done for many, many years. We were hearing comments from people in Boone, from people in Blowing Rock. God, it's a dump up there in Beach Mountain. It's a mess. It's ugly, it's run down, it's awful. So you know what? That was 3 years ago. Things have changed just a little bit. People are noticing how nice it is, how things are improved, how the landscaping is improved. Now, I do agree very much with the council. We have to be extremely careful about the growth and the development and the kinds of development that we allow on this mountain. We don't want a Gatlinburg, and we don't want a Pigeon Forge. If we want to go there, we can go there and play for a couple days. But we want to come back to a place that we can go out and walk on the trails and enjoy the quiet and the peacefulness. It's a special place. That's why we've found it, but we want to keep it this way. But the most important thing among anything else is we're very fortunate enough to have an attorney and a town manager that live here full-time, chief that has lived here through the positives and the negatives, through the highs and the lows, through the controversy, as well as all of us here. But we're all approachable. Grab us. Tell us you're frustrated. Tell us you're angry. But also do us a favor. Come to us with a solution. Give us options. I don't know where the gentleman, there he is. He's right there. Every time he stands up and speaks, he always comes with solutions. And that is so greatly appreciated, and it's greatly welcomed, because we love this town as much as you do. That's all I have to say.
Bob, I would just like to ask, how many budget meetings do we have a year, do you think?
5.
5. How many were canceled this past year?
None.
We didn't cancel any?
We did not.
Okay. I thought we canceled Mays.
We did, you did, but then we
Okay, we did.
We went
Okay.
back.
Well, I'd like to see more budget workshops throughout the year to fine tune our budget. and maybe have, some more involvement from the community and advertise it maybe even a longer period so everyone is involved and has a fair chance to at least watch or read about it or come in person to the meetings. And then lastly, I'd like to ask, or I'd like to hear from every council member if they either support me with the town hall expansion and getting rid of that out of this year's budget or not.
It's on hold anyway. It's not this year anyway.
It's not this year?
No.
Okay.
It's not, if you looked at the
Then I
budget,
stand corrected.
it's for 2024.
It's 2 years out.
Okay. Then I stand corrected on that.
It's not even in the budget. You have something you want to add?
So I may not be the most popular guy when I say this, but I look at ways, I have a small business, and I look at ways how I can cut costs. Sometimes they're painful costs, but they're things that need to be done. And you guys have challenged us with the budget. A lot of people are against it. And this is probably going to be an unpopular statement, but again, I want to look at how we can potentially save some money. And by no means am I suggesting that we close down the recycling center. I only want to evaluate what the recycling center cost us. We need the recycling aspect of it, but from where we take our garbage, I question, and y'all's input at any point is welcome. The recycling center or a convenience center costs us somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. So I take my garbage to the recycling center, but the trash truck comes up and down my street twice a week. So we already have that expense that is built into our budget, and I'm sure there's going to be other, I don't want to say incidentals, but for every reaction, for every action, there's a reaction, and certainly don't want it to be negative. But I just asked the council and asked Chief Pudney if you could put some numbers together on what the recycling center costs us on an annual basis. The employees don't have to be fearful that they're going to lose their jobs, because if we would potentially pick up trash at people's homes, then we'll obviously would be able to utilize those employees for this. And I thought about the handicap. If there's any way that we may be able to assist a handicap with their trash, we need to consider that. How are they currently getting their trash to their car and to the recycling center? But if we have a chance to save $400,000 or $500,000, I think we owe it to the taxpayers. I think some will probably be in favor of it, some are going to be against it, but it's worth a conversation. And again, by no means am I saying let's close down the recycling center. You guys are challenging us to lower the budget, so let's weigh out all reasonable options. Thank you.
All right, as far as there is an ordinance for the dumpsters covers to be enclosed. And so I believe we have sent notices out.
Their $100 a day fines have been in place.
In place at this point?
Yes, sir.
So we are looking to try to, you're right, we drive up to Parkway, we take a look at it, and they don't, they're ugly as wood. You can tell, whatever. But we certainly got to try to move this forward. Maybe cut off water or something we can do to get the people to. We got Mr. Handyman here. He can help them build enclosures, but we've got to cover them. I agree with that.
Thank you.
No question. As far as the budget is concerned, we have these meetings and people can come and be here and listen to the budget, listen to what has been transpired, and just give you a quick overview. The first time we meet, each council member suggests or puts up on a board, and sometimes we get anywhere between 45 and 50 suggestions of what they'd like to see happen in the town to the budget the next year. And then out of those 40, 45, or 50, each member picks out 5 that are very important for the town. So what you see in the budget is what most of the council members have what they wanted, that they felt that the town needed. Then the town manager goes out to each of his department heads and asks them for their budgets and what their needs are. And then the town manager works with the, Steve, our finance manager, and work on how we construct the budget. We have 5 meetings. You people are welcome to come to these meetings. We do post online a rough draft of the budget, which you can review. You can also email the town manager or email any of the council members, considering what's in the budget. So there's ample opportunity for the public to work with the town council as far as the budget. The only reason this year, and you know, you were talking about the 60%, well, for the last 10 years, it's been 60%. But all of a sudden, because of the increase of what Todd and Avery did, now all of a sudden, everybody's concerned about the budget. But nobody was concerned about it before. We've had the same budget, or close. Now remember one thing, for every dollar we take out of we move the rate, that's $100,000. Just remember that. That's what's coming out of the budget, out of the reserves. So we have to be careful what we're doing. We have a lot of internal works that still has to be done in the town. We don't know what's going to happen as far as revenue, as far as the permitting, as far as tax revenue is going to come in the future. If you can see right now, the TDA is also looking at a reduction in sales tax coming in on revenue. So we have to be conservative what we do. We just can't say, let's move everything to 60%, 60 cents, or 55 cents. We have to look at the overall budget. Now, do I agree that maybe next year we can look at it again? We'll have 1 year in our belt. We'll know what's going on. We can also go back to our teams and have them relook at the budgets, what their requirements are, and maybe we can trim line a lot of this stuff. But we just can't just open up the doors and make a blanket statement, we're gonna do all this stuff. Again, like Ms. Malang said, we have different committees that you guys can join. We have openings in these committees. You're more than welcome to join. You can get a better idea what's going on in the town.
I volunteered to join the budget committee.
Well, we have, but and we've asked you not to scream from the rafters if you don't mind. I didn't interrupt you when you were talking. But there's different committees you guys can join, and then you have a better input of what's going on in the town. Again, we have the budget meetings. You're more than welcome to join. You know, one person made a statement at our last meeting, you can't talk, but you can email us. You can come and talk to the town manager. You can send in suggestions. You can give us your negative feedback to what we think we should have. You can turn around and say, no, I don't think you should have that, or the town can afford that. So there's a lots of things you can do to participate as far as the budget is concerned. So, again, I'd like everybody to, let's just relax. Let's everybody get involved. We're transparent. We put everything online. Everything is there for you to read. It's no surprise. And then, again, elections are coming up in 18 months. If you feel that we're doing a terrific job, you can keep us. If you think we're doing a poor job, get rid of us. Get the next group. I'm not going to object. And just as a information, the last election, we must have done something right because we were unopposed. We need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You let me have it away as soon as you can.